Hey plant fam, welcome back to The Sprout. Today, we're talking about one of the largest and most diverse groups of houseplants in the world, begonias. There are over 1,000 species and countless hybrids. Some are grown for their incredible foliage, others for their flowers. Some trail, some stand upright, but all begonias share one thing. They're absolutely stunning. The Rex begonia has leaves that look like stained glass in silver, purple, red, and green. The polka dot begonia, Begonia maculata, has angel wing-shaped leaves covered in silver spots and bright red undersides. And then there are the flowering begonias that bloom non-stop. Honestly, once you start collecting begonias, it's hard to stop. But before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. We put out new plant care videos every week, and I don't want you to miss the next one. Also, drop a comment below and let me know, do you have a begonia? Which variety? I'd love to hear about it. Now, let's get into it. Here's the thing about begonias. They have a reputation for being a little finicky. And it's true, they're not as forgiving as a snake plant or a pothos, but they're also not as hard as people think. Once you understand their basic needs, especially humidity and watering, they will thrive. And the payoff is huge. These are some of the most beautiful foliage plants you can grow indoors. In this video, we're covering everything you need to know: light, water, humidity, soil, pots, fertilizer, pruning, propagation, common problems, and how to keep your begonia looking its best. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about the different types of indoor begonias. The most common are Rex begonias, grown for their incredible patterned leaves. They rarely flower, but the foliage is the star. Then there are cane begonias, like Begonia maculata. These have tall, bamboo-like stems, angel wing-shaped leaves, and clusters of flowers. They're easier than Rex begonias in my experience. Then there are rhizomatous begonias, which grow from thick stems called rhizomes. Rex begonias are actually a type of rhizomatous begonia. And then there are fibrous begonias, like wax begonias, which are grown for their flowers. Most of these are grown as annuals outdoors, but they can be houseplants too. Now, let's start with light. Begonias need bright, indirect light. An east or north-facing window is perfect. A south or west window works too, but you need to filter the light with a sheer curtain. Direct sun will burn the leaves, especially the thin, delicate leaves of Rex begonias. You'll see brown, crispy patches. On the other hand, if your begonia doesn't get enough light, it will get leggy, long stems with big gaps between leaves. The colors on Rex begonias will fade. The silver spots on Begonia maculata will become less distinct. So find that sweet spot. Bright, indirect light is the goal. Now let's talk about watering. This is where most people kill their begonias. Begonias like consistently moist soil, but they absolutely hate sitting in water. They're prone to root rot and crown rot if overwatered. Here's my rule. Water when the top inch of soil feels dry. Stick your finger in the soil. If it's dry at your first knuckle, it's time to water. In most homes, that means watering about once a week in spring and summer, and every 10 to 14 days in fall and winter. But always check the soil. When you water, do it thoroughly. Pour slowly until water runs out of the drainage holes. Then empty the saucer. Never let your begonia sit in standing water. And here's a critical tip. Try not to get water on the leaves. Begonia leaves are prone to powdery mildew and fungal spots. Water at the soil level. Use a watering can with a long, narrow spout. This is especially important for Rex begonias with their fuzzy or textured leaves. Wet leaves can rot. Now let's talk about humidity. Begonias love humidity. They're tropical plants. The ideal humidity is 50 to 60%. In many homes, especially in winter, humidity is much lower. The signs of low humidity are brown, crispy leaf edges, leaves curling, and stunted growth. To increase humidity, you have options. Use a humidifier near the plant. This is the most effective method. Group your begonia with other plants. They create their own little humid microclimate. Set the pot on a pebble tray filled with water. Just make sure the pot isn't sitting directly in the water. Do not mist Rex begonias. Their fuzzy leaves trap water and can rot. For smooth-leaved begonias like Maculata, light misting is okay, but a humidifier is still better. Now let's talk about soil and pots. Begonias need light, well-draining soil. Regular potting mix is too dense. Here's my recipe. Take 2 parts standard indoor potting mix, 1 part perlite, and 1 part orchid bark or cocoa coir. This creates an airy mix that holds some moisture but drains quickly. Rex begonias especially need excellent drainage. They hate wet feet. As for pots, always choose one with a drainage hole. Terracotta pots work well because they pull excess moisture out of the soil. Plastic pots work too, but you need to be more careful with watering. Don't go too big. Begonias have small root systems. A pot that's too large holds too much soil that stays wet too long. Repot every 1 to 2 years, or when you see roots coming out of the drainage holes. Now let's talk about temperature. Begonias like it warm. They prefer temperatures between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. They can handle down to 60 degrees, but cold damage starts below that. Keep your begonia away from cold drafts, air conditioning vents, and exterior doors in winter. Sudden temperature changes can cause leaf drop. Now let's talk about fertilizer. Begonias are light feeders, especially Rex begonias. During spring and summer, feed your begonia once a month with a balanced liquid houseplant fertilizer diluted to half strength. Look for a ratio like 10-10-10 or 20-20-20. For flowering begonias, you can use a fertilizer with higher phosphorus to encourage blooms. Do not fertilize in fall and winter. The plant is resting. If you over-fertilize, you'll see brown leaf tips and edges. Flush the soil with plain water if that happens. Now let's talk about pruning and grooming. Begonias don't need a lot of pruning, but a little maintenance helps. Remove any yellow, brown, or dead leaves at any time. Cut them at the base with clean scissors. If your begonia gets leggy, long stems with sparse leaves, prune it back. Cut the stem just above a leaf node. The plant will branch out and become bushier. You can also pinch off the growing tips to encourage a fuller shape. For cane begonias like Maculata, you can prune tall canes to keep the plant compact. Also, wipe the leaves with a damp cloth once a month to remove dust. Dust blocks light. Do not use leaf shine sprays. Now let's talk about propagation. Begonias are very easy to propagate. You have several options. First, stem cuttings in water. Take a 4 to 6 inch cutting with 2 or 3 leaves. Remove the bottom leaves. Place it in a jar of water, making sure no leaves are underwater. Change the water weekly. In 2 to 4 weeks, roots will form. Plant in soil when the roots are 2 inches long. Second, stem cuttings in soil. Same cutting, but dip the cut end in rooting hormone and plant directly in moist potting mix. Cover with a plastic bag to create humidity. Third, leaf cuttings. This works especially well for Rex begonias. Cut a healthy leaf with an inch of stem attached. Plant the stem in moist soil or lay the leaf flat on the soil and pin it down with small pebbles. Make small cuts in the leaf veins. New plantlets will form where the veins touch the soil. This takes patience, several months, but it's amazing to watch. Fourth, division. When you repot, you can separate the plant into 2 or more sections. Now let's talk about common problems. Let's go through them one by one. Problem 1. Yellow leaves. If lower leaves turn yellow slowly, that's normal aging. If many leaves turn yellow at once, you're overwatering. Let the soil dry out more between waterings. Check for root rot. Problem 2. Brown, crispy leaf edges. This is usually low humidity, especially for Rex begonias. Increase humidity with a humidifier or pebble tray. Problem 3. Leaves dropping. This can be from overwatering, underwatering, cold drafts, or sudden temperature changes. Check your conditions. Problem 4. Powdery mildew. This looks like white powder on the leaves. It's common on begonias, especially in high humidity with poor air circulation. Remove affected leaves. Increase air circulation. Water at the base of the plant, not overhead. You can also use a fungicide. Problem 5. Leggy growth. Not enough light. Move to a brighter spot. Problem 6. Faded leaf colors. Not enough light. Rex begonias lose their vibrant colors in low light. Problem 7. Pests. Begonias can get mealybugs, spider mites, and aphids. Mealybugs look like white cotton in the leaf joints. Spider mites leave fine webs. Wipe with rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab or use insecticidal soap. Isolate the plant. Problem 8. Root rot. This is the most common killer, caused by overwatering. Signs are yellow leaves, mushy stems, and a bad smell from the soil. Take the plant out of the pot. If the roots are brown and mushy, cut away the rotten parts. Repot in fresh, dry soil. Water much less going forward. Now, let's talk about specific begonia varieties. Begonia rex, the king. Leaves in silver, purple, red, pink, green, often with spirals or swirls. They need high humidity and careful watering. Begonia maculata, the polka dot begonia. Silver spots on olive green angel wing leaves, red undersides, and white flowers. Easier than rex in my experience. Begonia escargot, a rex variety with leaves that spiral like a snail shell in silver and green. Begonia Jurassic series, very large, bold leaves in bright colors. Begonia benigo, a cane begonia with pink spots on green leaves. There are so many. Once you start, you'll want them all. Let me give you a few quick answers to common questions. Do begonias flower? Some do. Cane begonias like Maculata produce clusters of white or pink flowers. Rex begonias rarely flower. They're grown for foliage. Why are my Maculata leaves curling? Usually low humidity or underwatering. Increase humidity. Can I put my begonia outside in summer? Yes, but in full shade, no direct sun. Bring it back inside before temperatures drop below 60 degrees. How often should I repot? Every 1 to 2 years, or when you see roots coming out of the drainage holes. Why are my Rex begonia leaves rotting? Water on the leaves or too much humidity without airflow. Water at soil level. Increase airflow. Are begonias toxic to pets? Yes, begonias contain soluble calcium oxalates, which are toxic to cats and dogs. Keep them out of reach. Let's wrap everything up. Begonias are stunning, diverse, and absolutely worth the extra attention. Give them bright, indirect light, no direct sun, water when the top inch of soil is dry, never let them sit in water, provide high humidity, use a humidifier or pebble tray, but don't mist fuzzy leaves. Use light, well-draining soil with perlite and bark. Keep temperatures between 65 and 75 degrees. Fertilize once a month in spring and summer at half strength. Propagate by stem cuttings, leaf cuttings, or division. Watch for powdery mildew, root rot, and low humidity leaf problems. Here's the most important thing to remember. Begonias are not difficult, they're just specific. Give them the humidity they crave, the bright, indirect light they need, and the careful watering they demand. Do these 3 things right, and your begonia will reward you with some of the most spectacular foliage in the plant kingdom. Before you go, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and leave me a comment. Do you have a begonia? Which variety? Rex? Maculata? Something else? I'd love to see it. Also, what indoor plant should I cover next? Calathea? Alocasia? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Take care of your plants, and they'll take care of you. See you in the next video.